it, Daddy.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
You better go somewhere and beat.
You're the kind of woman that I could give a lot of game.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Wrong with you? What's wrong with y'all?
Yo. Peace, power, prosperity to the village gang. Y'all know how we get down from the crown to the ground. Yo! Happy, beautiful Friday. See y'all pulling into the town square to do what we do over here where all is clear and all is love and all is fair. Ladies, kick up your feet. Have some wine. Let down your hair. Down rosary, you know how we get down to shots and bears. Today is the weekend's eve. This is Boxing Day of Thursday. But we're here, we're gonna talk about Hegelian dialect, you heard? Appreciate all the support, appreciate all the love, appreciate the shares, appreciate the comments. Keep doing it, bro. Get us into the algorithm. So more people hear this conversation, more people hear what we talk about at FDNHT. Without further ado, think I got everything lined up so far. Had some technical difficulties, but I think I'm booming. Let me do a sound check on this end. He and I, not him, Slim Trim, I'm built to win. This is Granny's baby numero uno, Flaco Fuerte, aka the room core that brings motherfucking all the sweet ladies. Enjoy. Granny's baby is back in the town square. Yo, let's get to it. I got good sound on my end. Hopefully it's good on y'all end. Y'all already know we're rolling. So we've been talking about Hegelian dialect. And Hegelian dialect, problem solution. And yesterday, it hit me like in the middle of the night. So I said I had to do it to show you a proper example of what it looks like. And it came up in one of our favorite shows ever when it was coming up. Getting ready to share right now. Where they created the issue and also had the problem for the issue immediately. Shout out to everybody who remember this episode right here, but this is one of the greatest shows on TV back in the G.
Present. And in the present, that shit looks ridiculous. It's not a cybernetic ear, it's a fucking cell phone headset. The only thing you're gonna do with it is call a bitch. And unless the bitch is a Martian, there ain't no explanation for the shit to look that damn high tech. Have you seen that shit in the mirror? You look like you're going to a fucking comic book convention.
This the house?
Yeah, man, this the house.
Hold up, I'm getting the call. Yeah. What's good, baby?
Yeah. Ain't that one of your grandfather's alarm systems?
Nah.
Nigga, you sure it says one-slot security?
No. I ain't seen no naked pictures, girl.
You already said, right? Ain't this your granddaddy company? This your people? Ain't this your people company that create the alarm system?
Send him to my sidekick.
Damn it, Ed, get off that fucking phone. I think we in the
Who's there? Huh?
wrong house.
Yeah,
Viewer discretion advised, you to know.
yeah, I'm still here. Motherfucker done shot me.
I don't get it. You guys got $11. Why you dumbass robbing people?
Cause I'm an American. Shit, it's the American way, man. Shit. The fuck was you raised in a third world country?
See, as I broke it down to Ed, Pops, if people don't have a need, then there won't be no demand. So we out here creating the demand, you know what I'm saying?
There we go right there. I'll play it on normal. You hear it?
Yeah, I'm still here. Motherfucker done shot me.
I don't get it. You guys got $11. Why you dumbass
Y'all got bread.
robbing people?
Cause I'm an American. Shit, it's the American way, man. Shit. The fuck was you raised in a third world country?
See, as I broke it down to Ed, Pops, if people don't have a need, then there won't be no demand. So we out here creating the demand, you know what I'm saying?
Turns out Ed and Rummy were breaking into homes as a way to stimulate sales for once the security service, which was owned by Ed's grandfather. The irony is Granddad had already signed up for once the security. And to add insult to injury, it didn't even...
So they create the issue by robbing. So they rob people. Create the hysteria that you need to be safe. It's not safe. But they selling security systems. They selling the alarm system. Them, the same company, his people company, selling the security system. They created the problem with the robberies and gave the solutions with the alarm systems. Plain as day. Plain as day. Instant. Straight to the point, pretty much. It doesn't get any simpler than that.
even work.
Yeah, well, now y'all get it right next time. You know the cost of bullets are going up.
Sure, you're right. Hey, thanks for being so cool about this, Pops. You all right with me?
Anyway, Granddad got his car back, and that was that.
Oh, come on. It was a misunderstanding.
Hey, Ed, give your granddaddy my best. They did it. Cheers.
Don't you think?
There's no way.
Them ain't no Negroes. It couldn't be them.
What the fuck y'all looking at?
No charges were filed.
All right, there you go. So you're watching Carter. Regardless how great this show was, right? Even today, we see all these gems, all these stories that they talked about that are coming true. But this one specifically, I remembered it last night when I was laying down. I was like, oh, you know what? I still gotta finish up the Hegelian dialect anyway. So I'll drop it. Boom, perfect example of it. I have another example of it, but I want to wait off on it just a little bit. I'll play that one in a little bit. I'll play that one off in a little bit. You know what? No, I'll play it right now. So that scenario was something that was, let's say it's more localized, right? It was robberies, alarm systems, companies, forcing people. Same concept, though, but on a smaller scale. I'm on the records too. Now listen to this. Listen to this shit right here. Shout out to Jimmy Dore. Now remember, that one was on a smaller scale. It was just within the neighborhood. And the solution was people in the neighborhood would buy alarm systems from that specific company because they were already going around doing what? Promoting the company. Remember, decisions in the end of the Hegelian dialect, the last piece, right, says you will make decisions that you probably won't normally make. People will start to do things that they won't normally do or ask for.
It's a commentary account. It says the headline is Joe Rogan goes silent as guest dives deep on who Zelensky really is. Let's watch. Listen.
Yeah, so you heard the name Zelensky, so you know we're talking about a greater scale now. Now we're talking about a greater scale of things. I don't know how much y'all been tracking this Ukraine-Russia scenario, but this right here gives you a pretty good idea of the Hegelian dialect in a long, greater form of things. Now we're talking global. Now we're talking geopolitics. Now what we're talking about is destabilization and regime changing.
This is quite interesting. Let me speed it up a little bit so we don't have to sit through the whole thing. But this is kind of fascinating. I've watched this already. Let's watch.
I keep asking if I have time. Do I have time to tell the Zelensky story? Sure. Because it's another one. It's just, what is Zelensky in America? He's a hero. He's a real warrior. He's got that nice green, warrior suit on. And here's the truth. And people know parts of this story, but they don't know it in its cleanest narrative. So he was a totally apolitical. He was an outsider to politics, zero experience or interest in government or politics. He was a comedian and with no manifesto, no party ties. And he does a TV show, a planned TV show called Servant of the People. And the main character in the show does a YouTube video that calls out oligarchs and corruption and eventually becomes popular and is drafted as a protest candidate and eventually becomes president. So Zelensky played on a TV show a person who becomes president by popular demand. In real life, the TV show is supported by an oligarch named Kolomoisky, who owned the TV channel. And Kolomoisky did a huge nonstop promo on that TV show to make it the #1 show, primetime slots and ads everywhere and crossovers with the news and what have you. 2018, a year before the show goes off the air, Zelensky forms a political party called Servant of the People. The same title as the show.
You tracking? Pretty much what I'm gathering is that they use the TV show as a prerequisite. Remember when that movie Down to Earth came out with Chris Rock? When Chris Rock was running for president, he had Bernie. Is that Down to Earth? I think that's Down to Earth. No. Down There is something else. Down There is when he had Wanda Sykes in them. It's a Chris Rock movie though. He's running for president. Bernie Mac was in it. But it's something with Chris Rock and him being a president. I can't remember the name of it right now. But the premise was psychologically, you were prepped for a black president. It was already set out there. There's another show with the State Farm dude that plays president. There's another movie. There's Jamie Foxx playing president. I'm not sure what time frame that came out in. That was prior or pre-Obama or post-Obama. There was Idiocracy, where Terry Crews was the president, prime minister of the world, or whatever the fuck it was. There was no, it wasn't Terry Crews. It was Tiny Lister. Head of State is the Chris Rock movie. Appreciate you, my G. It was Head of State was the Chris Rock movie. I think it was Tiny Lister that was the president in Idiocracy. My bad, not Terry Crews. Either way, we've been psychologically prepped for the black president. So when Barack Obama comes along, it's something more digestible and palatable. Now with this one right here, it happened a year before. So it was real quick. It was fast. It was quick. It was right on it, right? So he's a comedian and an actor. No politics. Played in a movie, comedy, a show, whatever the case was. That he becomes the person that they want him to become in reality. And in the show, the show itself was bolstered. What it meant is promoted and put out there, and put out there, and put out there. It's just like how when a song comes out, and the first two times you hear it, you like, what the fuck? You put it on the back burner. It may not be that. It may not be not your style. You might not fuck with the beat too much. It might, especially in those times where the popular rap was switching from snap, pop, snapping. What the fuck was it called? Snapping, Laffy Taffy, no Laffy Taffy, that shit, to drill, conscious rap, to gangster rap, to more lyrical rap, right? Because there was the lyrical era. There was the real lyrical, miracle, entendre, bar, rap. When they went through all these phases of rap, especially in those gaps between them, people might not be feeling it. But for some reason, it never come off the fucking radio. It's always spinning in the club. You can't comprehend why this song is on MTV Raps, right? Why BT hyping this song so much? It's not that fire. You subconsciously being programmed. I mean, before you know it, the song grows on you. So now when you hear the song, instead of switching the channel, now what you do is you turn the radio up. You've been prepared to like the song. You've been forced to like the song. You've been pushed into liking the song. Now, remember, initially, you wasn't with it. But all of a sudden, you with it. All of a sudden, the song is dope. All of a sudden, you could stand it. All of a sudden, you're making excuses for it. Yo, that beat's kind of sick. Man, the lyrics is, but that beat's sick as shit. We've seen rap change. We've seen the phases of rap. We've seen phases of rap music and hip hop music, right? And I know I'm not being obtuse when I'm saying this. There's shit that comes out that we don't fucking like that's constantly banging on the radio. You want to know why? If you think that's by happenstance, then you should have been here last night when we talked about coincidence. Now, I ain't jacking it. A lot of people in this chat right here don't be jacking coincidence. There's no coincidences anymore.
And in no press release, secretly done. And then he does another season of the show. And in April of 2019, he announces his actual candidacy
on Instagram. He has no campaign, no rallies, no real platform. He skips the presidential debates. Others attended. He avoids press conferences, and the few that he did in the beginning were really bad. And Kolomoisky's TV channel gave Zelensky's campaign endless airtime and favorable polls and went after his enemies. The U.S. intelligence agencies, CIA and NSA, helped. U.S. spending $5 billion, by the way, on democracy campaigns.
So, we're only.
Now you have intervention. This is a regime change without what we know as a normal regime change. What the regime changes look like in when the regime changes look like in Africa, right? What a regime change look like in the Middle East. This is a different type of regime change. The end result's still the same. The end result's still the same. A new person in power that they have a direct line to, that they have influence with. Remember, we're still talking about Hegelian dialect. And you just heard it. Outside influence and free promotion.
Only a couple minutes into this, or 2 minutes into this, and what does it sound? This guy's name is Gavin de Becker, by the way. And what does this sound like to you? To me, it sounds like this was all planned way ahead of time. That the people who actually run things had this in the works way before you ever knew about it. Way before they had this guy handpicked. And who did it? The billionaires who run everything. They had him handpicked. The billionaires who the CIA actually works for. They don't work for the president. We've already revealed that. As Chuck Schumer said, that they don't work for the president. The president has to be afraid of the CIA and the NSA. And so they had this all set up. They had their puppet. They had Zelensky. They had this all set up. There's more to this. Let's listen.
In Ukraine, funneled through NGOs. And USAID embeds advisors in his organization to help with the campaign. I'm almost done. And on election day, Zelensky wins with 73% of the vote. And then the war happens with Russia.
You know how much 73% of, all right, I need.
And he declares martial law and he ends elections. It's supposed to be election 2024. That's what we get for our democracy money. And quite literally, he is an actor in a carefully designed television show. He is a construct, like Epstein is a construct, meaning he's a created entity. And it worked. That's Zelensky, American hero. I guess his stars may be fading a little bit now. I don't know. What do you think? Is he still wildly popular in America?
Well, I think people are very disappointed by the fact that the wars continue to go on and the deaths, the amount of deaths. I mean, people are horrified by it. And that's a big failure of the promises of the Trump administration too, because Trump famously said that he would get it done in 24 hours.
Yeah.
You can't get it done at all.
Yeah, it's tough.
And they're conscripting 60-year-old men, setting them to the front line. I mean,
and Americans and people from all over the world to go and fight. And but the narrative, I think, your very first question was, do people do this on purpose? Things like this, like wars that are multi-billion-dollar events, they are not organic. They do not just happen. Putin does not just decide.
Hear that word again from like we used last night. Organic. It's not grassroots based, right? If it's not grassroots based, something is not coming from the bottom and rising and growing, right? As tall as it's growing is as wide as it's growing. That's how you know movements are grassroots in effect. They tend to start off small because everybody is in the same groove, which we'll get into with we talk about Karl Marx. But if it's not organic, then what the fuck could it be? Then it's engineered and it's manufactured.
One day, hey, I got an idea, and to go into a part of Ukraine where they're Russian speakers, they're culturally Russian, and they are not organic events. It's not how people get into power in many countries around the world.
Well, the crazy thing is the narrative that the soldiers in Russia were being told, that this was going to be over very quickly, they're going to be welcomed, and then, they had dress uniforms in their packs.
Yeah.
They thought it was going to be a couple of days. Storm in, storm out. You're a hero.
Yeah. We were told that in Iraq.
Well, it was going to be. because Zelensky immediately realized what was happening, and he negotiated a peace deal almost immediately. A couple of weeks after Russia invaded the Donbass, Zelensky had his team work out. They had an agreement already worked out, a peace deal. And you remember that's when Boris Johnson from the UK flew to there and said, hey, if you do this peace deal, we're going to kill you. And so he didn't do the peace deal, and now we're 4 years into a war. They had a peace deal, and we showed you that video of Zelensky saying, yeah, the people in the West.
So now it's too late. That's the problem. It's too late. You took their money. You took their support. Now that you realize you're at the beck and call, now you're susceptible to any and everything they want to do to you. But it's too late now. When you see it, it's already too late, right? The wolf has taken off the sheep's clothing. And that's fine and dandy if the wolf is outside the house. But no, the wolf is inside the house. It's too late. He's stuck like Chuck.
Want a long war with Russia because the war is about hurting Russia economically, and they don't care what happens to Ukraine, that we're just a pawn. He said this a few weeks after the war started. He said this. So Zelensky knows the game. You know who doesn't know the game? The American people and the morons with the Ukraine flags in their bios, in their profile pics. Those are the morons who fall for every war. Vietnam, Grenada, Iraq twice, Libya, Afghanistan for 20 years, Syria, Iran, now Ukraine, and they'll fall for Venezuela. Okay.
We will be, welcomed in Iraq as soon as we get to Baghdad.
So, what do you think the Ukraine thing is really all about?
Well, why limit it to Ukraine? Just talk about human war. I mean, what is human war always about? It's about primacy and control and wealth. And 1,000 years ago, there's about 1,000 what you would call government systems, right? There's warlords and there's shoguns in Japan, and there's all these little entities. In our lifetime, it's down to 190. But is it really 190? It's more like 5, right? NATO and China and the Soviet bloc when it existed, and the oil-producing countries. In other words, it's getting to be whatever number you want to make it, but eventually it'll be 2 fuckers sitting in a room, and then they got to kill each other.
Right.
And then, that is the decay of empire. And we are, we have 760 military bases overseas.
Yeah, we have more than that. And we're building a new one in Syria right now in Damascus.
Yeah.
So I don't know where he got that 760 number from, but a lot of them are a secret. So that's why you don't know.
The next 2 things I'm tracking is Venezuela and Iran. All that shit that happened in Gaza, still going on. As fucked up as that is, still going on. But you could see, well, we already heard it. It's already been said. They posturing for Iran. We talked about it here. I showed you what Iran has to offer in terms of why there's a great beneficial factor there already. And it was over there by the Caspian Sea outside of Tehran. So now each spot with influence from external forces, external governments, external businesses, external corporations can set up shop.
I think they just built 3 in the last couple of years in the Philippines. They just announced they're building a new one in Damascus, in Syria.
Yeah.
And they're all working together with Israel. Who is Al-Qaeda and ISIS and the United States are working with the head choppers who attacked us on 9/11, and they're working with Israel. They're all working together. Who's the chump now? We are the chump once again. The United States people are the chumps. And the people who believe that story about Zelensky being a fighter, or he's a pawn.
Let's say we go with the side of the people who think the towers falling was an inside job. Then once again, we come back to the Hegelian. We talked about it last night briefly. But look how they put somebody in place and made a regime change, created this beef and this war, and now more people dead. To gain minerals, to gain say so in that territory. Now, mind you, there's already a plan in place between Russia and America that NATO would stay out of that region. I'm leaving that alone. Let's go.
He's a puppet in a $1 trillion war. He's a puppet who was installed by the billionaire class that runs the CIA to do exactly what he's doing. Most people don't know that story. That's an amazing. It sounds like a movie because it is. That's amazing. All right, come see me tell.
Jimmy Doe, appreciate the work, my G. This is crazy because I saw this video after I planned the show. So when I saw it, I realized how perfect it was and how it lined up with another part of what I was talking about today, the Hegelian effect. But the problem is there. They create the issue, but they also have the solution for it. Right? It's going to stop. It's going to end one day. It's going to end. But when it ends, it's going to be ending on their terms, and the solution will be given. It's not going to be on mainstream. It's not going to be on the mainstream media. It's not going to be on CNN. It's not going to be on these outlets, right? It's not going to be on these outlets. But when you want to know something, you just go research. And in research and stuff, you can start with a name. You can start with 2 names, right? And you can figure out these links. But that's it, man. 2 examples. One was in a neighborhood that described the same thing that this thing described on a global this is a global stage. This is international proxy war shit. I'm trying to stay on topic. This is because I will run into a whole different lane right now. I'm trying to stay on topic, so I'm gonna keep on moving. Hit the like button when you pour into the town square. You hear me? Protects content from light. Yo, absolutely. You pour in, appreciate the love, hit the buttons. You feel me? This one is okay, cool. Drop that one down. That one, good to go. No, relax. So on the other side, yo, you already know, G. Expect the message soon, bro, with the information for tomorrow. Expect the message soon. Like when I get off the show, I'm gonna stay in the lane, build it, send it out, and we gonna figure it out on the back channels. But you already know, peace, my G. There's something else from Marx. It's called materialism, right? It's materialism interpretations. Karl Marx versus Hegel. That's why I labeled the show Hegel versus Marx. Right? Let's watch the video real quick, and then we'll jump into what we'll jump into after that is a quick conversation about it. And y'all, let's see where I'm going with this. With this, are they similar, right? Are they different? Me personally, I see the similarities in it. I see some. I don't. All I see is two differences. But I see the whole thing being the exact same. But there's another factor in there also when it comes to Marx's the Marxist ideology, or you think about Karl Marx and how his philosophy has this ripple effect throughout history. I won't reveal it yet. Give me 2 seconds. Let's talk about Karl Marx and his material interpretations. Let me pull it up. Share. Boom. M Love, what up, G? You already know what to do, bro. Big salute to you. Step into the town square, my G. Three-minute video, real smooth, real easy. About to roll. Ready? Roll.
Political classroom. In today's video, we will explore two influential philosophical concepts that have profoundly shaped the way we understand history, society, and change: Hegelian dialectics and Marx's dialectical materialism. Let's explore the differences and similarities between these two transformative theories. Hegelian dialectics, developed by the German philosopher Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, lays the foundation for understanding historical progress and the evolution of ideas. At its core, Hegelian dialectics involves the interplay of opposing forces, the thesis and its antithesis. According to Hegel, the clash of these opposing forces results in a synthesis, a higher and more advanced stage that incorporates the best elements of both the thesis and antithesis. This process continues indefinitely, driving historical development towards an ultimate goal, the realization of human freedom and rationality. Now, let's turn our attention to Marx's dialectical materialism, a cornerstone of Marxist philosophy and a revolutionary force in the study of society. Unlike Hegelian dialectics, Marx's approach is firmly rooted in material reality. According to Marx, historical progress is driven by the struggle between social classes, particularly the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. The conflict arises from the material conditions of production, such as ownership of the means of production and the exploitation of labor. Marx introduced the concept of historical materialism, which emphasizes that the economic base of society, the mode of production, shapes its superstructure, including its political, legal, and cultural institutions. In this dialectical process, changes in the economic base lead to corresponding changes in the superstructure, and the class struggle propels history forward. Marx believed that the ultimate outcome of this process would be a classless, communist society. While both Hegelian dialectics and Marx's dialectical materialism involve the dynamic interplay of opposing forces,
That's one of the great similarities that I see in it, where one focuses on external factors while the other one focuses on internal factors, right? Thought, spirit. One focuses on infrastructure, pretty much. One focuses on what you call social happiness, social comfortabilities. External forces versus internal forces. One is naturally generated internally, while one is a force externally from circumstantial living.
they differ significantly in their underlying principles and ultimate goals. Hegelian dialectics focus on the realm of ideas and the progression towards human rationality and freedom.
Human rationality, logical living, and freedom.
On the other hand, Marx's dialectical materialism centers on the material conditions of society and the quest for a classless, communist society through the abolition of exploitation. Despite the differences, both Hegelian dialectics and Marx's dialectical materialism have profoundly influenced the fields of philosophy, sociology, and political thought. Hegelian dialectics laid the groundwork for further philosophical exploration, while Marx's dialectical materialism became the bedrock of Marxist theory, shaping the course of revolutions and social movements around the world. As we conclude this exploration of Hegelian dialectics and Marx's dialectical materialism, we recognize that these theories have left a lasting impact on our understanding of history and society. They continue to inspire critical thinking and debates about the path towards a more just and equitable world. Thank you for joining me in
Shout out to Political Classroom. Appreciate you, bro. That was clean. That was a 1-2 punch to the gut. Appreciate it. Share this instead. Now let's have a quick conversation about it. For reading aids, we got this. Jesus Christ, stop doing it. I fucking hate that shit. So we get it. We get it, right? We just heard that what it says. One is idealism, but the key difference. Let's go back to the key differences: idealism versus materialism. Idealism focuses on evolution of idea. When the idea is birthed internally. And Marxist dialect is saying that the only time that people get together is because of materialism and social conditions and constructs. Social, let's say social gripes, social issues. Hegel's approach is more abstract, dealing with concept and idea, while Marx is concrete, focusing on a real world condition and class dynamics. Remember, when you talk about Karl Marx, talk about communism. He falls in the communism block. Both dialects recognize the contradictions as essential for change. This right here, they both see that things need to evolve. Things need to get down the road, right? Things need to better themselves. Excuse me, I gotta take this damn medicine. But one sees it, but Hegel sees them as inherent in thought, while Marx sees them arising from materials. You understand? So this is why I think these two things merge very, very strongly at a certain point. The end goal isn't that fucked off differently. Except for when you look at Marx having a communist background, Karl Marx, right? Where is it? This is why. Share this tab right here. When we think about the driving forces that drive humans being to develop, right? The driving forces of human development encompass a range of factors that influence individual and societal growth. These include biological instincts, physiological factors, social norms, cultural values, and personal goals. Here's a closer look at each of these forces. Biological instinct. Basic survival behavior, such as hunger, thirst, and the need for shelter, drive human fundamental development. Sociological. Emotions, motivations, and cognition shape thoughts, feelings, and actions, influencing the development. The social norms, the interaction and group dynamics with society shape before behavior and development. Cultural values. This is the intertwining of something. We have so many cultures on the planet that religion and belief systems are entwined into the culture that they live every single day. This is the intertwining point for me, where these two things aren't that dissimilar. And I'm speaking specifically for me. Specifically for me. You had Marxism that came after Hegelian. And would Marxism exist without Hegelian? I wasn't born. I don't know. From my perspective, I say no. From my perspective, I say no. cultural beliefs. So the culture beliefs and practices that define a community's identity and aspirations drive development. But a community is based off of individuals coming together. Communities, individuals together, same page, same religion, most likely, same goals, same objectives, because most likely they have the same thought processes. Which goes back, when we talk about thought processes, thinking, right? We could go back to emotions, motivations, and cognitions shape thoughts, feelings, and actions. The word thought right here, thought and idea, right? Brain. Now we look at how things happen. You live in a world where you have external influences. Those external influences have an exact effect on your thought and your motivations, your emotions, your feel, how you feel, what you do. So when you look at the developmental factors, both these things intertwine. Personal goals, aspirations, and dreams guide individuals' choices and behaviors, influence development. These forces work together to create a dynamic and constructive process of human development where relationships and context plays a crucial role in shaping individual and societal growth. So even in the summary right here, society is based off of individuals. Communities are based on individuals. Let's like the village, right? We have the village, then we have the county. From the county, we have the state. From the state, we have the nation. And when there's issues that affect enough people within society, then you could see how Marxist ideology comes into play, where people are very, very much thinking on a communist level. But right here, this quick little summary, driving forces of human development. That was it. That was it. The driving forces of human development, right? Philosophical, biological, philosophical, social, cultural, and personal. The difference for me that splits these things completely apart is what Marxism tends to drive. And here's geez, I fucking hate when you do that shit with the links. When you talk about Marxism, right? And you talk about Marxist dialect and its communist views on society. Well, communism on paper looks great, but you have the greatest X factor in there, which is human greed, capitalism, imperialism. Those things destroy what communism is. Because communism, it seems to fucking work on paper. It does. It just seems to work on paper. If you tend to think about it, if I'm not mistaken, Amish people live like this. They live in a community by themselves. They do things for each other. Everybody lives, right, for the benefit of the community itself. Communism, right? Communes. So on paper, it looks fucking great. But in practice, we've seen it fail constantly due to the X factor, which then most likely turns into tyranny. But I'll leave that. I have another video prep to break this shit down, but that's not what we're doing right now. Excuse me. Jesus Christ. When you have Marxist ideology, what tends to happen is, remember, Marxism has a deep-rooted sentiment based on, no, not that, Jesus Christ, material, right? And class. Materials and class. So we should all have the same thing. People feel marginalized. People feel like they're not getting a fair share. They're not getting a fair piece of the pie. Then you have uprisings. When you have uprisings, this other word shows up. This other word is when you have radical movements showing up. Now, radicalization is all going to be different from what? Activism. Activism has an undertone of putting shit on paper and legislature. Remember we talked about all these fucking upset people. I forgot what was going on, but we talked about it, and it was something along the lines of what's next. I was talking about what's next after all this protesting, all this marching, all this fucking yelling and screaming. What the fuck is happening next? And nothing happens. That was the same conversation we talked about. The pen is mightier than the sword, right? Chucking bricks in these people's stores do absolutely fucking nothing but give them insurance money. Burning this shit down does absolutely nothing, right? But comes off as radical, insane, unhinged. There's no purpose behind these things. After that, it's done. Because you felt emotionally good burning down these people's shit. Now you feel good. But what the fucking result of it? You have no results. You go back to the same scenario that you was in prior to. There is no change. There is no people putting shit on paper to put some fucking shit on paper to send it to be signed so everybody can fucking get what they fucking want. And it's never going to be perfect. What I'm saying is this. When you're emotionally charged, then you have the route for radicalism. When you have a spirit of activism, you tend to have a spirit of logic. That's why I think Marxism is very, very dangerous. I think, personally, it's fucking dangerous. Are they communists is dangerous? No. Looks good on fucking paper. Does it work in practice like we're seeing? No. It don't fucking work. All right, cool. Great. Moving the fuck on, right? Activism has an undertone of peace, legislature, people putting things on paper to change things for real, while radicalism is all about tearing shit the fuck up. Quick read. The distinction between radicalism and activism in the USA is often debated, but here are some examples that illustrate the differences. Damn, I'm moving too fast. Radical movements. These movements seek to change the fundamental structure of society, often through direct action and sometimes violence. Examples include the John Birch Society and the Klan, the Ku Kluxy boys. Boys that like to wear bed sheets, huh? Radicals. Activism. This involves participating in social movements and campaigns to raise awareness and demand change. It can be non-violent, such as protests and marches, and more aggressive, like sit-ins and strikes. You see the two undertones? New Left and Black Man has an example of activism and aim to change society's normal policies. These examples highlight the different approaches to activism versus radicalism, with the form often focusing on direct action and the latter on a broader societal change, but play significant roles in shaping the political landscape in the USA. While politics is involved in everything, right? You're gonna hear the word politics. Get over it. Get the fuck over it. Grow up. But the two undertones of two things, one is pen on paper, one is perceived and has the undertone of peaceful protesting, movement, awareness. The other one has violence in it, right? Crazy action inside of it. Hence the reason why you see all these radical things going on. We talked about radicalism. We talked about it here. As a matter of fact, when rest in peace to Charlie, we talked about radicalism here when Charlie got hit. We talked about it right motherfucking here. If you wasn't here, you missed it. G, you want to go watch it? Take a quick watch. It should be it's definitely in the vault, in the videos that we shot over here already. When I say I say majority me. But there's a danger that comes with radicalism. And we're about to take a quick watch, real quick. Let me do a quick swap over. But you see where Hegel tends to be more peaceful as to where Marx seems to be more radical. Yes, there's different forms of Marxism. Get it? That's not why the fuck we here. We're talking surface level. We might dip a foot under the surface, 2 feet under the surface. But like I say, dog, if you're interested, just go take a quick read. Google what you need to Google. The names are being dropped. The terms, the terminology is being dropped here. But the same way I went out and searched it and found it, the same way you have the thirst to learn something, the same way people get up and go do. The same way during the pandemic, all these women became the most aficionados at making t-shirts, cups, and masks all of a sudden. If you want to do something, I promise you, people get up and go do it. It's not always getting stuff for free. What I do, I give you the gems. That is it. Give you a breadcrumb here, a breadcrumb there. That is it. Pieces of information. Pieces and pieces and pieces of information. But take another look at radical behavior.
So let's get into it and unravel the techniques that are used to radicalize young people. Firstly, extremists offer a worldview that's easy to understand. It's a basic human need to understand the world in which we live. If we don't understand our world, that makes us anxious and paranoid. This worldview presented by extremists is often based around intolerance towards particular groups of people. This may have to do with race, religion, sexuality, gender, or disability. But where you find extremism, you will always find one group who, according to the extremists, are to blame for a given problem. Remember the good or bad, in the club or enemy of the club? Secondly, extremists are sincere. They do believe in what they say. They aren't pretending. People who are confident in their knowledge appeal to our need for order and certainty. Us humans, we don't like uncertainty. Young people like you are particularly vulnerable to those who appear sincere. Sincere people make us feel safer. They make us feel like we understand and that we are in control. Thirdly, extremists appear to follow up on their threats. They may promise to fight against the imperialist forces of the USA or Europe, or subdue women by taking away their freedom. They may promise to persecute gay people or kill or punish immigrants, but they do actually seem to deliver on their promises, even though, in the cold light of day, what they promise is unacceptable and disgusting. In truth, extremists don't deliver on all their promises, because their promises are always at somebody else's cost. But the power of delivering on promises is enticing and seductive.
So yesterday's show was named The Boogeyman. Once they give you the fucking boogeyman story, once they give you the fear, once they give you the setup and say, this is the reason why your village don't have running water. This is the reason why you can't find a woman. This is the reason why as a woman, you are held back and can't find a job. This is the reason why that you as a white male are hated right now. This is the reason, and they give you these fucking reasons. Now you already feel this sense of something's wrong. Something's wrong. Something's off. Something's off. But when you're fed an enemy and the reasoning sounds feasible, you tend to jump into that lane. You know what? You might be right. Fuck men, I'm gonna become a feminist. Fuck woman, I'm about to be an incel. Right? Fuck Whitey, because Whitey wants to keep me down. He got his boot on my neck. We're not saying that these things don't exist. What we're saying is this. When you have such a black and white ideology about certain things, and you never see the middle ground, you never see nothing else. There's nothing else there. That's how easy you can radicalize somebody. You take their weaknesses, you take their vulnerable moments and spin it and use it against them. You give them the enemy.
Maybe even more so because modern day politicians are so often accused of not delivering on their promises. So in short, extremism gives young people a clear sense of purpose. Fourthly, extremist groups give young people a voice and a place. The murderers at the Jewish Museum in Brussels were young, just like the right-wing terrorist Anders Breivik, who murdered political rivals at a summer camp in Norway in 2011. These young people felt shut out of the political process and stripped of power. They felt that nobody respected them. Lastly, extremism seems exotic, with the promise of exciting adventure abroad that's far removed from the humdrum of everyday life. So how do people become entangled in these organizations and become radicalized to the point where they're willing to leave home, get on a plane, and murder in the name of a new ideology? It still seems like a big jump from wanting a sense of purpose and belonging. As is often the way, the answer has a lot to do with human nature and little to do with supervillains. The path to radicalization usually starts with a crisis or a problem at home or school, with relatives or friends or somebody in the community. It may be that a young person is having an identity crisis, or feels that a friend or relative is being singled out or discriminated against in some way. This leads to feelings of outrage because of the perceived injustice, which in turn leaves the young person vulnerable to political brainwashing, or radicalization as it's called. There is this sense that by joining the fight against one particular group, you are righting a wrong that has been done to you, your friend, your relative, or someone in your community. So how do more people within that group become radicalized? The answer is probably not what you think. People who've already been radicalized and are fighting for a terrorist organization abroad still stay in contact with their mates, with their friends at home, via WhatsApp or another social media platform. Some of those remaining at home are
Dang, why you gotta shoot that WhatsApp, G?
Juiced by these posts they read, the stories from their friends, and they simply end up jumping on a plane to hook up with their mates in search of glory and adventure in an exotic foreign land where they can make a difference. Social media has increased the audience and the reach of extremist groups. It has never been easier to spread hate speech anonymously directly into people's homes. End-to-end encryption, while protecting those who speak out against brutal regimes, also hides those with illegitimate intentions. The most vulnerable are those who feel uncertainty in their lives or a sense of injustice. Students at school, children, people who've recently left home. Those with psychiatric problems, they're all particularly vulnerable. Social media offers terrorist organizations the opportunity to access, recruit, and brainwash the vulnerable with their propaganda, while always presenting themselves as holding the moral high ground. When you're reading posts online and deciding whether to believe them, ask yourself whether their message has echoes of them and us, good and bad, in the club, or enemy of the club, and whether they're trying to justify violence, and ask yourself whether they're blaming one particular group for all life's problems. Life is rarely that simple, so don't get sucked in, and make sure that you give your friends the same good advice. If you found
It's a problem. Nobody walks around here problem-free. Nobody's life is perfect. But when people don't have outlets to just talk about their normal problems, it creates isolation. I'm not going into it. Just know that life ain't fucking perfect. And it's not black and white. Some things are extremely black and white. Some things are black and white. Not everything that goes on in your life is black and white. You hear me? Remember this movie right here? Remember this movie? Remember him? What happened to him? The same people he was chill with one day, all of a sudden became what? His enemy. To the point where he hit the rooftop, right? Try to take somebody out. Remember this? Remember? Don't you ever forget this movie. If you forgot this movie, go ahead and take another watch it. Go watch it. Don't ask me where it is. I don't know. But this movie right here is the perfect example. The perfect example of how somebody becomes radicalized, which is a part of Marxist ideology. Where this is what's wrong with it, and we fix it with radical behavior. I'm telling you straight up, the birthplace of Marxism is in radical behavior. And I already did the research on it. And I took a quick glance at it. And I looked up radical groups in the USA. There's a list of them. But in closing, I'm putting a bow on all this, putting the cork back on the bottle. They're not so different. That's just what it is. I think without Hegel, there wasn't no Marx. That's what I think. It's just that simple. I think Marx ideology came from Hegel's. They both addressed that there are forces. One addressed internal forces, one addressed external forces. But at the end of the day, both wanted to change the human experience. They wanted to change the human living. When you talk about spirituality, though, you talk about ideology, you talk about God and spirit and things that exist in the esoteric realm, right? The things that you can't see, you can't touch them, right? Versus things you can't see and things you can touch, you could feel, you could see where they tend to split. But the end goal, people think it's different, and I don't. I don't think they're different at all, right? One is material, one is way more spiritual. One is way more material, one is spiritual. But at the end of the day, it was about progress and evolution. I already showed you, I think they intertwine with each other, simply because when you talk about human development doesn't just exist in the intangible and intangible, the untangible and the tangibles. It doesn't exist in just one. They exist in both. They exist in both worlds. And us as humans, we're not one-dimensional either, not even in physical appearance. We're not one-dimensional at all. You split us in half, right? And you get something that's symmetrical. So two things are joined. I think they both address two things of the human life and the human experience, and how humans develop through this time that we've been on this planet and the time that we walk through this society, right? It's up to you to figure out and make a decision. But there's our examples already. You don't have to make a blind decision. You can make a wise decision, an educated decision even. But I stand where I stand on this one. They are not that dissimilar when we look at human beings as whole beings living a whole life. When you put these two ideologies together, you kind of tend to get the whole human being. The human being that we see every day versus the human being, how he interacts with himself internally. And sometimes you get to see that when they display behavior in action. You hear me? So peace, love, power, and prosperity. This is he. He and I is him, Slim Trim, and I'm built to win. This is Granny's baby numero uno. I'm glad to have had some time to shoot an early show today with you guys and do part 2 to the Hegelian dialect. And today we added the Marxist dialect into it. Y'all know it's a love thing. Every time you tell the town square, make sure you love yourself so you can love the people that is around you. Make sure you take care of yourself so you can take care of the people that's around you. There would be a part 3, and I think that would be my closing out on this one, because there's a lot more things to go. But once we know this information right here, and once this information is shared and you talk to your people about it, or you share it with your people, when you bring up your next topics, or when I bring up the next topic, we still tracking. You can still see how these things, like I keep telling you, are not separated as much as we think they are. These things are very much intertwined and touching, right? See the life type shit. Look at see the life, right? Look at flower of life. These things intersect. And they intersect at points for a reason. You hear me? You hear me? Say baby, I'm out here, you hear me? But y'all know it's a love thing. Love yourself so you Love the people that surround you and take yourself so you can take the people that surround you. This thing in life, it is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So train every day like that marathon is too. Come on, bro. I see you guys here again soon in the town square. I appreciate the love, I appreciate the support. Keep hitting the buttons, dog. Y'all know what we do. We hit the town square, y'all know. I see y'all soon. Well, don't worry. And I got a show tomorrow too with big coal fire in these streets. Y'all know.